Hey guys, Desolate Gaming here, and I'm going to show you how to beat one of my all-time favorite advantage play capable slots, Buffalo Ascension. And I don't just love it because I won this on it. It helps, but if anything, the fact that those are bison takes away a little from the Buffalo machine, but that ain't nothing new in the casino world. So how do you beat this one? You just gotta know when to jump on. Well, this is the button panel, and luckily it shows you the exact number of ways, and it's not a gimmick, more ways equals more wins, but what you're really going for is for a column to be 3 high so that the next time a purple arrow shows up, it will trigger the feature. Now, the most typical setup is, we'll just call it purple bonus, gold bonus, and purple bonus. However, they do have a free game bonus. Now, you can just trigger the free games by getting 3 coins. You'll start with 8, and I'd say 60-70% of the time you will, unfortunately, not receive any more after that with a retrigger with 2 coins, so it's your typical Buffalo machine. But if you were to trigger with 4 coins, which is not too uncommon, you start with 15, which is really nice. Or if you get 5, which I've never personally seen, I think you get a scatter on that too, but then you start with 20 spins. So that's just like a nice little moneymaker when you're already chasing the actual state from the actual bonus. Now, during the free games, the wilds can, and I think always do, turn into a multiplier. So like right here, that would have just been 1 by 3, and the Buffalo paid to the second position. However, we've got X2, X2, so not too special, but pretty nice. That's probably like 20-30 bets right there. I kind of shouldn't have cropped that, but well. Nobody's a great photographer with the free games going, you know what I mean? Speaking of free games, I mean, you can retrigger these to the moon. It's not uncommon to hit, 70 to 150 free spins. Like right here, I got 43. My friend Shane just got like 129. And the majority of them won't pay anything, but if you have a really high line count, like we're talking 4,000 plus, you're much more likely to get paid. And actually, that goes for the base game too. You do tend to get quite a few more line pays in addition to chasing the feature when the line count, or I should say the ways count, is way higher. It is a full ways game, that's why it's up in the thousands. So if you were to absolutely pack it, you're looking at 5,488 because it is 4 by 7 by 7 by 7 by 4. So you multiply those out, and that's what you get. I'm not 100% sure if you're more likely to get a coin when they're taller. My guess is no. So if you were to trigger the purple bonus, which is much, much more common than the gold bonus, the bison will run past and they will flip certain symbols, and it will flip every single symbol that matches the one it chose. So it could be one of the animals, could be one of the symbols, like in this example, I had landed a 1 by 2 by 1 and then gap 3, which is pretty decent. And then it decided to flip the 9s. Now, the 9s and the 10s are the most common symbols by far. They're what's used to pack the middle so that it lowers your line pays. But man, if you get a trigger on it, so you could see, I was betting $2 per spin, and wasn't in the running for the gold bonus, but that's fine because the line count was well over 4,000. So I won 600, which is, the 5 of a kind on a $2 bet, so it's 3 times your bet, times 72 because it's 2 times 3 times 2 times 2 times 3. So it might not look like that much, but 72 times triple your bet. I mean, that's 216 bets. I mean, that's higher than all aboard. That's higher than most Mo Mummy bonuses. That's higher than the average hot soup. So when this goes off, it can go off, and it can go very much higher. Now, I believe the purple bonus is restricted to either any win, or on a low end, it just sometimes decides from random chance to keep going, or it has to achieve a 3 of a kind. I'm not 100% sure. So it will keep flipping symbols until it gets a reasonable pay, or at the very least links up the Buffalo. So even though the purple bonus is usually not very good, in this case, if it were to flip the 10s, and then choose the king, and then choose the wolves, and then choose the elk, and then choose the mountain lion, it would technically have to keep going. Now, I feel like there might be some protection in there for that, but you never know. If the first symbol it flipped was the jacks, I'm getting paid next to nothing. I would have, I think, a tiny chance for it to keep going, but if it did jacks then queens, yeah, that's going to be a low pay. Now here's one where I won $250 on a $5 bet, which is, not that great, but for a purple bonus, but it was only $12.50 because it was only 4 of a kind, times 20. I have seen worse. I think I won 4 times my bet one time. But here's a 180 with a wild sitting there, and that brought it up to 36, and 36 times 5, because 5 is what it pays on 4 of a kind on $2. That's 180. I think I bought in 200 on this one, so, hey. The good part is when that's at 5,400 ways like that, as soon as it goes off, you're already in AP state to keep going, which is another shot at the gold. So the gold is where you can win a lot. That one is worth so much more because it will do the Buffalo Stampede multiple times. And if it flips a bunch of symbols and you have a high line count, that is usually a really good combination. Unlike the purple bonus, which is notorious for being really bad once in a while. Now, once in a while, you'll get the double gold stampede where it just decides to put it on one of the columns. Otherwise, there's actually another option. Yeah, I might have spotted this one earlier because on the right column there, the bonus is 8 free games with all of the multipliers bare minimum 3 and can go up to 5. And yes, it can hit X 125 maximum. Now, the cool thing is you can get the purple arrows during the coin bonus, the free game bonus, and if you have, 50 to 100 shots at it because you get that many free games, because it just keeps re-triggering, which is very common, that's really nice. And you can light up the Buffalo for free, and then if it's good or bad, whatever, but if you already have wilds going and all of them have multipliers and you get the Buffalo bonus, that is where you can get some seriously crazy wins. It's very, very rare, but it is possible. Now, the cool feature with the 8 free games is that if you get an arrow in that column after already triggering it, not only did it already stay that height, but it continues to stay that height until the end of the bonus. They just tack on 8 more free games. But I did get 5 arrows one time, got it up to 78 free spins, somewhere in the neighborhood, and it just kept re-hitting it. I mean, I got like 4 or 5 purple arrows, and it just kept adding to it. I thought I'd get to play more bonuses back to back, but I mean, mathematically, what's the difference? They just give you 8 more. But the maintained column height is just huge. I have gotten a 5x3 with just like 9s out there, and it was still an astronomical amount of money. So when should you jump on? When is it in your favor? Well, the common number thrown around is 3,136, which is usually middle 3 tall, one of them 2 tall, and one of them 1 tall. There are different combinations, of course. I would prefer it be 330 because that's the best setup for short-term line pays. Just getting 3 of a kinds. We call that left heavy. Now, 3136 is very thin. And we don't know if those numbers were collected online with, really, really good RTPs, or if it was in a casino with really good margins, or if it wasn't. It's almost always collected on minimum bet on a machine that didn't hike the denominations up to like a nickel or higher, just because it's cheaper to analyze 1,000 spins if you paid 5 times less for it. So a lot of serious advantage players, aren't interested in 105, 110% return because you're just not going to make money on that. Not like serious money, and then it's very likely to dip below 100% and start costing you, and I don't like that. In the long run, you'll win, but how much? At 105, 110%, how much are you really making? I put the most generally accepted strategy on this little quick reference guide, and if you want more of these quick reference guides, well, click on the Patreon link. For just a couple bucks, you can download every single guide as an easy little JPEG to put on your phone and reference instantly when you're at the casino, so you don't have to remember all this. So a lot of people jump in the 3,800 range, and I will tell you that if it was 3136 or close to that number, and none of them were at 3 height, I wouldn't bother. The other thing to consider is if it's, I believe that would be 231 would be 3136, you are very unlikely to trigger the gold bonus, and if you do, it pays more, but you'd want the line count to be as high as possible when you hit it. Now, I should mention the gold one stops at, I think, either 5 of a kind or a minimum times your bet count. So it will keep going until it links up every single one. So I've seen it flip a animal symbol, then another one, then another one. We still don't have 4 or 5 of a kind. And then it flips like a jack or queen, still doesn't have it. And then it has to flip like a 9 or 10, and there it is. You get your 100 ways or 500 ways or whatever, and you get a massive jackpot. In some cases, higher than the golden arrow, which if I didn't mention already, you can get a golden arrow, you get the progressive. I've never seen it. I'm sure it's right up there with state lottery odds. And then really 3,800-ish is where I feel more comfortable. Now, there aren't enough spins in the world recorded to know this for sure, but when it's in the double gold mode where it's showing 2 gold stampedes, that is so much more valuable that it's estimated you can play from like the mid-2000s. I think the number was 2688. I would say that only if the gold ones are the ones that are high. If they're both at, 0 or 1, I don't think you got it there. It is theorized that in the long run, on average, you could play it from just about anything. I think 1024 is the basis. I don't know if I would go that crazy with it. But I mean, even numbers that start with a 1, you might still be in it. I just wouldn't personally risk it because that just mathematically seems not quite there. And obviously you'd want the ones that are higher to actually be under the gold ones, otherwise you still have no progress to get there. Now we know that the guaranteed gold in the middle raises a lot slower because duh, but I don't know if the extra gold one raises any faster or slower. And in this famous picture from the Boulder Station Casino, I suspect that they got 2 arrows at the same time and lit up both golds simultaneously because the bare minimum that it can do is 2 flips, I believe. So if they each went past 3 times, or I think it would be 3 plus 2, it depends what the layout was, they would get a full blackout. So don't count on that happening, but I mean, I've seen a lot of hand pays on this machine. And I think those really high wins are what throw up the RTP above 100 average for the lower 3136 number. So if you're going to be an advantage player for the next 10 years, yeah, sure, start at 3136, I think. Because you could get the gold, but generally this one that I have up on screen is the most balanced way to do it at like a casino that might not have the best odds. And to make it much more likely that it goes in your favor. So have fun getting the coin bonuses, getting a bunch of free games, getting the arrows within the free games, hopefully, and then getting a giant multi-way 5-of-a-kind bison, which I'm sure I called a buffalo more than once in this video. So thanks for watching. Check out my Patreon if you want to kind of tip jar me or if you want to see all the cool resources there, and I'll see you guys next time.